Hey everyone, today I'm going to tell you a story. This story is a story that probably won't get very many views and probably won't go viral, but I'm telling you this because this story means the world to me. This story really changed my life. To tell you this story, however, I gotta give you some backstory. The backstory starts at the end of my sophomore year of high school. I was not doing very well. My school had given up on me, and because of that, I had given up on my school. One thing that I haven't really talked about is that I have the diagnoses of dyslexia, ADHD, dysgraphia, executive functioning disorder, and autism. This was the year where I found out about the bulk of my learning disabilities. I knew about my ADHD, but this was the year when I found out about the rest of them. I'm going to be honest, it was really hard. Not only did my school give up on me, but also the theater department at my school did. And that really hurt because theater to me was what got me through the day. The drama director at my school just kind of, gave up. At the end of my sophomore year of high school, my parents decided to look into some boarding schools for people with learning disabilities. And I was just not about it. I ended up being transferred to this boarding school far away from home, and though I didn't know it then, it was literally the best decision that my family had ever made. I'm so glad I went to a boarding school. This school changed my life, and maybe I'll get into the reasons why then, but this story is not about that. This story is about the first play I ever did at my new boarding school. So I arrived at my boarding school ready to make a difference. I knew this was my last chance. If I didn't make the most of it, I wouldn't get to do what I want to do with my life. So I'd gotten to the school and started getting adjusted, and we just finished new student orientation week, and now we are into where all the returning students are on campus. The thing I was most excited about was theater. Theater always was kind of like my escape. I'm not saying I'm amazing at it. I'm not saying that I'm an acting prodigy. But for me, it was my escape, and I knew that my potential for theater had not been seen at my previous school. I talked to the drama director, and he said, okay, this year we are doing John Cariani's ALMOST, Maine. I knew nothing about the show, but I knew I needed to get a good role. So auditions for this play started, I think it was the second day of regular school. It actually might have been the first day. I don't quite remember. I think it was the first day. The way my school worked was that after all your classes had completed, you would go to athletics. And luckily at the school, theater was considered an athletics, which was awesome. Maybe one day I'll tell the story about how during the winter season I played basketball because they only have drama spring and fall, but that's another story for another day. But I was ready. I didn't really know anyone at that point. I knew my roommate, but our relationship was already starting to just go down just because we are very different personalities. But I was really excited to show what I could do in drama. So I got to the auditions and I was handed a form. The form had everything you would expect for a drama form. Name, conflicts, previous experience, but it also had two additional categories. The first one, would you be willing to kiss someone of the opposite gender? And the second one, would you be willing to be in a scene with someone of the same gender in a romantic way? And I knew the answer to both of those was yes, because I knew that to be one of the main characters, I had to say yes, but I knew I would be willing to do that. The way ALMOST Maine works is that there are different scenes, and each scene has a different story. So one person could play multiple characters, and that's the way it worked. I worked so hard at those auditions, and I knew I wanted three distinct roles. I wanted the role of Dave, who played this quirky guy who really wanted to show Rhonda that he wanted to date her. The second, I don't remember the name of the characters, but I know I played Chad. And Chad, I think the name was Steve. Chad wanted to show Steve, I believe his name was, that he also was ready to take things to a different level. And the other was playing a person who literally could not feel pain. I'm not going to cover that one as much because that one was just more fun to play than transforming for me. But, just know that that role was so much fun to play, and I'm so glad. His name was Steve. I'm so glad I got to play Steve. I don't remember the name of the other person in the gay scene, but I know the character that I really wanted to play was named Chad. Just looked it up, Randy. The other character's name was Randy. But anyways, we had gotten to the next day, and what I love about this director was that he would give you the cast list almost immediately. Personally, I think directors sometimes take too long when they really don't need to. I get they need to take time to think about it. He was able to tell us the next day, and I found out that I got the roles of Chad, Steve, and Dave. All 3 roles I wanted to play. The thing that was kind of scary about it was, for the callbacks, I had to rank the women in order of who I'd be willing to kiss, which was awkward because I didn't know the women at all. This was my second day at the school, and I just remember I picked the women in a random order. One woman was playing the role that I would end up kissing when I played Steve, and the other would end up playing the role I'd be kissing when I played Dave. Really, I'm not quite exactly sure why he did this, but I think it was just to make sure that we'd be comfortable having to kiss each other on stage. I want to let you know this. At this point in my life, I had never kissed a girl before. I had had a girlfriend for a week, and I'll get into that story probably at some point. But I had never kissed a girl at this point, so I was definitely very nervous. So I found out in the Dave scene that I would be kissing this girl named Lelena. I already talked to Lelena. She's totally fine with me using her actual name in the story. Lelena, thank you so much for letting me do this. Lelena is one of my really good friends now, and I'm so glad our friendship has really blossomed over the years. But we didn't get off to the best start. I've talked to her now about the story, and she said she thought I was just this awkward, kind of gross weirdo. And she had a boyfriend at the time, and she was not excited about me having to kiss her in the show. She was a senior, I was a junior. So I remember every single rehearsal that we would have that would involve the kiss scene, we would find some excuse not to have to kiss. And I want to make sure I make a note of this. It wasn't just a kiss scene. It was also a stripping scene. The point of the scene is that both of us are dressed in like 8 or 9 layers of clothes. And the joke is at the end, we both strip down to long john underwear to the point where we have stripped like 8 layers of clothes. It is freaking hilarious when we do it. I even remember one time where she got stuck in her shirt and I just had to yank it off of her. Lelena and I never talked outside of rehearsal. I think part of it was because she was in a relationship with another guy and I'm just an awkward Nelly who didn't know how to talk to girls. So it came to a rehearsal and the director started getting a little pissed off because we kept putting off the kiss part. And I remember him just being like, okay, you guys actually have to do the kiss at some point. And so the problem is my character is supposed to be the one to initiate the first kiss. And again, I had never done a kiss before. So I didn't really know what to do. So finally I went in and did the kiss part of the scene. And it was hella awkward. Basically in the scene we kiss each other like 5 or 6 times. And I remember the director basically saying, okay, you guys can't just like peck each other on the lips. You guys have to be really into it. And I didn't really know what the frick he meant. I remember the director asked, have you ever made out with someone before? And she went, yes. And I went, I just didn't want to come off as a loser. I'm sure they knew I'd never had, but you know, I just wanted to seem cool. But anyways, we did the kiss and it was awkward. We never really talked outside of rehearsal. And honestly, I think it would have been less awkward if we actually had become friends outside of rehearsal. And, you know, I easily could have initiated it, but I didn't because, again, I was hella awkward. We eventually became good friends. And again, like I said, she's one of my best friends I've ever had. But at that point, I was so awkward, I just didn't know what to do. So Lelena and I would practice this scene probably a couple times. And then it was opening night. The way shows work at my school, because it's the boarding schools, we don't have very many outside people coming to see the show. So the shows are split between the 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, and then the 11th and 12th graders seeing the show. And the first performance was with the 11th and 12th graders. Lelena, I think I eventually learned to hear that her boyfriend didn't come to see the show because he didn't want to see her kiss another guy. He shouldn't have been worried. She was kissing me. I'm literally nothing to be worried about. Especially then, I was a complete, loser. So it comes to the point of our scene, and our scene is the very last scene in the show, and in my opinion is the best scene in the show. And we are about ready to do the kiss scene. And my heart's pounding because I see a bunch of these really cool seniors that I want to impress, that I've barely talked to, and they've made fun of me at this point because I'm a nerd. I knew this was my make or break moment at the school, so I go in for the kiss, and the crowd goes, ooh, and I know I have them. And I can see Lelena's face being like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But we do the multiple kisses in the scene, and it's awkward, but like, I have the adrenaline of the audience on my side. And I know I'm kissing someone who was at the time considered the prettiest girl in the school. And this was like so exciting for me. It's a little weird to think about, but for me, I was like, okay, this is where I'm going to gain my cred in the school. You know, cred in the drama department. But anyways, so Lelena and I are about to do the strip part, and my heart is pounding, and I'm like, okay, Tim, you can do this. This is the time to show who you are. We start stripping like one layer and then another and then another and then another. And the crowd is going frickin' nuts. They think this is the most hilarious moment of all time. And I'm just smiling in my heart because people think I'm funny. For the first time, the people in the school think I'm funny. I finally know that this is my time to make the best impression. And so I just ham it the best way that I can. And I said one line, I think it was, you want to know what we're going to do after something? Basically implying we're going to have sex. And they're just laughing their heads off, and the lights go off, and then it's time for the curtain call. And the curtain call ends with me and Lelena coming out last. And Lelena walks out, and then I walk out, and the crowd just starts chanting, Tim Bates, Tim Bates, Tim Bates. I promise you, like, that's what happened. And my ego grows, like, I think I'm bigger than Jesus. Not really, but, you know, I was pretty excited. People were chanting my name. That had never happened before. And I think at that moment is when I actually gained some self-confidence. At the time, I really never had some self-confidence. I think the biggest issue with my previous school was no teacher ever told me that I was good enough. So at that point, I didn't really feel like I should be doing what I'm doing. And my amazing director there and my friends there really gave me the confidence that I am actually good enough to be doing this. And I guess the point of the story is that this is where I kind of became me. And if you've been watching my videos, you'll see that I have a very distinct style. Maybe some of the videos haven't shown it as much, but I really want you to know that I'm quirky and I'm okay with being quirky. I know I have disabilities, but I'm using the disabilities to be a complete me. Almost Maine was where I discovered that I was a real person. I wasn't a damaged person for having autism or ADHD or dyslexia or dysgraphia or anything else I have. I'm a human, and I'm so grateful for that performance, for kind of launching me to where I am. I wouldn't have been able to do any of the things I've done without Almost Maine. I want to thank Lelena for, first of all, allowing me to tell the story to you, and also not being too grossed out that she would want someone else to do the scene. I'm glad I did the scene with her because it allowed me to understand my self-worth. I know the story will not get very many views, and that's okay. I don't really know how to tag this story, but I'm doing it because I feel like it's important for me to tell, and it's a lot better than the video I was planning to do anyway, which was a TikTok cringe video, which, don't get me wrong, I'm going to do in the future. Probably my next video will be the TikTok cringe video, but I couldn't help but do this video first, so you all got more of an understanding of who I am. Thank you so much for watching this. I just hit 20 subscribers, and I know that's a low amount, but to me, the fact that 20 people want to hear what I say, it means the world to me. Please like, share, and subscribe. Don't be afraid to comment what you would love to see. I want to hear from you all, and thank you so much. Have a great day.